step aside. Are you the child's father? Do you even realize how late it is? You're in the ER. The nurse's voice sliced sharply through my exhausted haze, startling me back into painful awareness. It was nearly 2 a.m., and my 6-year-old daughter, Leah, was trembling in my arms, her small body burning with fever. Her gentle whimpers cut deeply into my heart. I had tried to control her condition at home after arriving late from a long shift at our family-owned bookstore in San Francisco, but her fever had escalated alarmingly fast. My pulse pounded in my ears as anxiety tightened around me like a vice. It wasn't just Leah's illness gripping me in panic, it was also the haunting guilt that always accompanied these late-night emergencies, a grim reminder that I was raising her alone. 8 years had passed since Emma, my wife, had tragically died in a fire that destroyed our apartment. 8 long years since I'd become both father and mother to Leah, trying desperately to fill a void that only seemed to grow deeper over time. Tonight, the city had conspired against me. Taxis were impossible to find, and every rideshare attempt ended in frustration, drivers canceling as rain poured relentlessly outside. In desperation, I'd gathered Leah into my arms, wrapped her tightly in a blanket, and set out into the storm, walking swiftly through empty, glistening streets towards St. Mary's Hospital. "I'm so sorry," I muttered breathlessly, rainwater dripping steadily from my soaked clothes onto the clean, polished ER floor. My humiliation burned as hot as Leah's fever. I got here as quickly as I could. The attending physician cast a critical glance in my direction, his stern features clearly judging my delayed arrival. He sighed quietly, shaking his head slightly before calling out, "Nurse Laura, patient 5 needs acetaminophen immediately, and hourly monitoring." Shame engulfed me as I sank weakly onto a rigid plastic waiting room chair, every muscle aching. Through my exhaustion, I heard the doctor mutter quietly yet clearly, "Why do these parents always wait until it gets critical?" His words sliced painfully, deepening my sense of inadequacy. They echoed loudly within me, reinforcing the gnawing belief that perhaps Leah deserved better than a father perpetually overwhelmed by grief and responsibility. "Sir, please follow me." The softer voice that broke through my turmoil was accompanied by a faint fragrance of lavender, gentle yet jarringly familiar. My heart jumped painfully as I turned my head slowly toward the nurse who stood quietly by my side. Her dark hair was neatly pinned back, eyes softly compassionate above her medical mask. Everything about her posture, her presence, triggered a devastatingly clear memory I had long buried deep within. With deliberate tenderness, she lifted Leah into her arms, gently cradling my daughter's feverish body. Watching them through the frosted glass door of the examination room, a powerful nostalgia nearly buckled my knees. Her silhouette was achingly, impossibly reminiscent of Emma's, a ghost from my past suddenly materializing before me. Minutes felt like hours as I waited anxiously outside, my heart thundering erratically. Eventually, the nurse returned, handing me a small slip of paper detailing Leah's medication instructions. Though masked, her eyes conveyed deep empathy mingled with cautious hesitation. "Her throat is extremely inflamed," she explained gently. "Don't administer fever medication longer than 2 days. She'll need careful observation." My breath caught sharply as I noticed a slight upward quirk at the corner of her mouth, exactly how Emma had smiled when she was trying not to show too much emotion. Without thinking, desperation overcoming my self-control, I blurted out, "Have we met before?" She paused momentarily, eyes widening slightly. Before she could reply, a call echoed urgently from further down the hall, "Laura. Emergency incoming, room 3. As she brushed past me swiftly, she leaned in subtly, her voice barely audible yet crystal clear. "You're not mistaken," she whispered softly, her wrist grazing against my trembling hand. In that fleeting touch, something small and cold pressed against my skin, a silver bracelet with a tiny, heart-shaped charm, identical to one I'd chosen for Emma years before her death. Shock rippled violently through me, twisting my stomach painfully. I stood frozen, my mind spinning chaotically. Leah stirred gently in my arms, murmuring sleepily, "Daddy, she smelled just like Mommy used to." Those simple words broke through my defenses, shattering my carefully held composure. 8 years of grief, hope, loss, and confusion surged forcefully within me. Could it truly be possible? Had I somehow lost Emma, not to death, but to mistaken identity? Was she alive after all these long, painful years? Determined, my heart set on discovering the truth, I waited near the ER's staff exit, hoping to catch another glimpse of Laura. Time dragged painfully on, hours passing without her reappearance. Finally, another nurse approached apologetically, informing me Laura had to leave early tonight. She was injured assisting with an emergency. Frustrated yet resolute, I carried Leah home through the lingering drizzle, my thoughts relentlessly fixated on the night's revelations. Once home, Leah slept peacefully, the medication easing her discomfort, but sleep eluded me entirely. Driven by a restless ache, I eventually rose from my bed, retrieving an old, rarely opened box hidden in the depths of my closet. My fingers trembled uncontrollably as I lifted the lid, releasing the gentle, lingering fragrance of lavender. Inside lay our last family photograph, Emma smiling radiantly, Leah nestled comfortably between us, a bandage on Emma's wrist from a minor injury she'd sustained earlier that week. Tears stung my eyes sharply, my heart clenching with an intensity I'd almost forgotten. The devastating fire that had consumed our apartment 8 years ago had taken everything from me in an instant. I had been working a night shift at the fire department, arriving too late to save Emma. Authorities had identified a severely burned body as hers, urging me not to view it personally, claiming it was beyond recognition. Numb and heartbroken, I'd accepted their conclusion without question, haunted ever since by unanswerable doubts. Now those doubts consumed me entirely. Could Emma truly be alive? Had the impossible occurred? Every fiber of my being screamed for clarity, desperate to reclaim the truth I'd unknowingly lost years ago. Determined not to let another day pass in ignorance, I resolved that morning to return to the hospital, prepared to confront whatever reality awaited me. Morning broke slowly over San Francisco, a dim, gray light filtering through heavy clouds, reflecting my restless night. Leah's fever had subsided significantly by dawn, though anxiety continued to gnaw at me mercilessly. Questions crowded my mind, relentless and overwhelming. Could Laura truly be Emma? Was it genuinely possible that after all these years, the woman I'd mourned and grieved might still be alive? After dropping Leah off at her school, where her brightened spirits eased my guilt slightly, I turned my car towards St. Mary's Hospital. Determination pulsed steadily within me, overriding any remaining hesitations. This was no longer a vague curiosity, it had become an undeniable necessity to discover the truth. The hospital lobby bustled quietly with morning activity, a stark contrast to the eerie stillness I'd experienced mere hours earlier. Approaching the front desk, I felt my heart quicken anxiously. "I'm looking for Nurse Laura Anderson," I said firmly yet politely, forcing my voice to remain steady. "She treated my daughter in the ER last night. It's very important." The receptionist glanced at her computer screen briefly, shaking her head apologetically. "I'm sorry, sir. Laura isn't scheduled today. Her next shift is tomorrow evening." Frustration tightened painfully in my chest, but I refused to give up easily. "Is there someone I could speak to about her? Maybe a supervisor or someone familiar with her background?" She hesitated briefly before nodding toward a corridor to my left. "Jessica Simmons is our nursing supervisor. She was on duty last night. Her office is down that hall." I thanked her quickly, striding purposefully toward the indicated office. My heartbeat accelerated further as I knocked lightly on Jessica Simmons' open door. She looked up from her paperwork, offering me a gentle, questioning smile. "Miss Simmons? My name is James Mitchell. Do you have a moment?" "It's about Nurse Laura Anderson." "Of course," she replied warmly, gesturing for me to enter. Her calm demeanor offered a slight comfort as I settled into the chair across from her. Gathering my thoughts, I spoke carefully, desperation mingling with hope in my voice. "I believe Laura Anderson may be my wife, Emma Mitchell. 8 years ago, Emma was presumed dead after a fire at our apartment building. But last night, Laura treated my daughter. She wore an identical bracelet to one Emma owned, and her mannerisms, everything felt incredibly familiar." Jessica's expression shifted dramatically, first registering shock, then deep compassion. "Laura's story is complicated," she began cautiously, folding her hands on the desk. "She came to us about 6 years ago, badly injured after surviving an apartment fire in Oakland. Severe burns and head trauma had left her with almost total memory loss." My breath caught sharply, heart pounding painfully against my ribs. "Was she ever identified? Did anyone come looking for her?" She shook her head solemnly. "No identification survived the fire. Her fingerprints were severely damaged, and no DNA matches appeared in missing person databases. Authorities exhausted every avenue but found nothing. Eventually, she was declared an unidentified victim. After recovering physically, she trained here and became a dedicated nurse." My pulse thundered erratically as reality shifted dizzyingly around me. The timeline matched perfectly, the circumstances aligned too clearly for coincidence. Could I possibly speak with her privately? "I need to know if she's Emma." Jessica hesitated momentarily before nodding gently. "She'll be here tomorrow evening. I'll arrange for you to meet privately in one of our consultation rooms. But please, Mr. Mitchell, prepare yourself. Laura's memory is fragile. She may not remember you or your daughter clearly." "I understand," I whispered quietly, emotion thickening my voice. "I just need to see her." Leaving the hospital, my mind raced uncontrollably, replaying the past, questioning every assumption I'd ever made. I drove home in a daze, barely aware of traffic around me, thoughts entirely consumed by Emma. That night, I prepared dinner mechanically, Leah's cheerful chatter grounding me slightly. Her innocent laughter momentarily distracted me from the overwhelming uncertainty swirling within. Yet, as I tucked her into bed later, her sleepy voice pierced directly into my heart. "Daddy," she whispered gently, eyes heavy with sleep, "do you think Mommy's really alive?" My throat tightened painfully as I brushed hair from her forehead tenderly. "I hope so, sweetheart. I really hope so." Sleep remained elusive, my thoughts relentlessly replaying Jessica's words, Laura's gentle voice, the subtle scent of lavender. Finally, driven by an unbearable restlessness, I rose quietly from bed, retrieving once more the box I'd opened the previous night. In the quiet darkness of the living room, I examined our old photographs again, tracing Emma's smiling face with trembling fingers. Memories surged vividly, her laughter, our shared dreams, the warmth of her embrace. For 8 long years, I'd clung desperately to these fragments, believing they were all I had left. Yet now, hope flickered tentatively inside me, fragile but powerful. Tomorrow could change everything. Tomorrow, I might truly regain the love I'd lost, or have my heart irreparably shattered again. Whatever came next, I knew with absolute certainty that nothing would remain the same. Determined and hopeful, terrified yet resolute, I awaited the arrival of tomorrow evening, prepared to confront the truth, whatever it might be. The next day moved agonizingly slowly, each passing moment amplifying my restless anxiety. Leah sensed my tension, her normally bright chatter subdued. My mind continuously replayed memories of Emma, intertwined with the nurse I'd met, Laura, whose face had awakened a profound yet fragile hope within me. As evening approached, anticipation tightened painfully in my chest. Leah dressed carefully, choosing her favorite dress and clutching the family photograph we'd spent hours examining. Her earnest eyes held quiet determination as she softly said, "Daddy, maybe this will help Mommy remember us." My heart constricted painfully. Kneeling to meet her gaze, I gently reassured her, "I hope so, sweetheart. Whatever happens, we're in this together." St. Mary's Hospital loomed into view, its familiar facade now both comforting and terrifying. Jessica Simmons greeted us warmly at the lobby, her expression kind yet cautious. "Laura's waiting in the private consultation room. Remember, Mr. Mitchell, this might be difficult for her." "I understand," I said quietly, grasping Leah's small hand firmly. Her tiny fingers clung tightly to mine, offering silent strength as we walked down the sterile hallway toward our uncertain future. Jessica gently opened the consultation room door, stepping aside to reveal Laura seated nervously inside. My heart thundered violently against my ribs as I met her hesitant gaze. For a brief, overwhelming moment, words failed me entirely. Leah broke the silence, stepping bravely forward and carefully placing our family photograph onto the table. Her voice trembled slightly with restrained hope. "Do you remember us, Mommy?" Laura reached out cautiously, fingers trembling visibly as she took the photo. Her eyes scanned the image carefully, brows knitting slightly with confusion. For a brief moment, a flicker of recognition passed over her face, replaced swiftly by frustration and sorrow. I don't know," she whispered softly, voice cracking under emotional strain. "There's something familiar, but everything is blurred, fragmented." Leah moved closer, gently touching Laura's hand with childlike sincerity. "It's okay, Mommy. Daddy says sometimes remembering takes time. We'll help you." Laura's eyes filled rapidly with tears, slipping down her cheeks unchecked. Her vulnerability and distress twisted sharply within my chest. Instinctively, I stepped forward, voice gentle yet earnest. "Emma, you don't have to force anything," I assured carefully. "We understand memories can take time. We just want to support you, however you feel." She looked directly at me, her expression softening slightly yet remaining deeply conflicted. "When you call me Emma, something inside me responds, but it's like looking through fog, I can't quite grasp it. It's deeply frustrating." Sitting across from her, my voice remained calm though emotion tightened my throat painfully. "Emma, we had a life together. We married young, built dreams together. We had Leah, the most beautiful gift you ever gave me. Everything changed the night of the fire, but my feelings for you, our love, never faded. Not even for a moment." Laura closed her eyes briefly, inhaling deeply. When she spoke, her voice trembled slightly. "I have dreams, James. Fragments, really, faces I should know, feelings I can't explain. I sometimes wake up crying without understanding why. It's terrifying and lonely. But hearing your voice, seeing Leah, it stirs something deeply buried." "Then let's build from there," I offered softly, my heart swelling with fragile hope. "We'll take things slowly, day by day, memory by memory. We're not rushing you, Emma." Her gaze met mine again, gratitude clear alongside cautious hope. Leah quietly moved closer, gently leaning into her mother's side. Without hesitation, Laura wrapped an arm instinctively around Leah, pulling her close. In that tender gesture, tears blurred my vision, relief washing powerfully through me. "Emma," I continued gently, "whatever you feel comfortable with, we're here. Our home, our hearts, they're yours, no matter what you remember or forget. She nodded slowly, determination mingling with vulnerability in her expression. I want to try, she whispered finally. I don't know how much I can reclaim, but I'm tired of feeling lost. I want to understand who I am again. A quiet yet powerful resolve settled among us, silently acknowledged and embraced. Jessica discreetly stepped away, leaving us space to reconnect privately. Time slipped quietly by as we talked softly, filling in gaps cautiously, sharing moments that had shaped our lives. Gradually, tension eased from Laura's posture, replaced by subtle trust and growing comfort. Leah, nestled happily beside her mother, seemed at peace, a quiet contentment radiating warmly from her small figure. As evening light dimmed outside, something precious and profound emerged among us, a fragile, tentative rebuilding of bonds long fractured but never fully broken. Eventually, we parted for the evening, Laura promising to remain open to future visits and shared conversations. Walking slowly back to our car, Leah's hand clasped securely in mine, gratitude overwhelmed my senses, tears quietly filling my eyes. For 8 years, I'd lived buried beneath grief and regret, constantly haunted by what had been lost. Tonight, however, offered something different, genuine hope, cautious yet profoundly meaningful. Though uncertainties remained, the possibility of reclaiming our family felt incredibly real, powerfully tangible. As Leah drifted to sleep that night, her breathing gentle and calm, I sat quietly beside her, reflecting on everything we'd shared with Laura. Memories surged vividly, intertwining past joys with present uncertainties. Yet, beneath it all, a steadfast hope flourished brightly within me. Tomorrow and every day thereafter would bring challenges, perhaps setbacks, but we faced them together now. United, hopeful, and resolute, we'd begun the careful process of healing, rebuilding our lives one fragile memory at a time. In the weeks following our emotional meeting, Laura, Emma, began spending more and more time with Leah and me. Each encounter was cautious, careful, and filled with delicate hope. Together, we navigated the fragile bridge connecting past and present, allowing trust and familiarity to slowly blossom between us. Emma's memory remained unpredictable, sometimes offering clear glimpses of our shared past, other times plunging her into frustrating confusion. Yet, Leah's unwavering patience and gentle acceptance provided immense comfort. Each day felt like a gentle step forward, a small victory in reclaiming what had been cruelly taken from us. One quiet Sunday afternoon, we gathered at Golden Gate Park, the sun filtering gently through the tall trees. Leah skipped happily ahead, her laughter carrying sweetly on the breeze. Emma walked quietly beside me, her presence comforting yet still uncertain. We stopped by a bench near blooming lavender bushes. Emma paused abruptly, inhaling sharply as the familiar scent enveloped her. Her eyes closed softly, brows furrowing as memories stirred within her. Lavender, she whispered quietly, a faint, genuine smile appearing slowly. I remember lavender. Why does it feel so important? It was your favorite, I said gently, heart swelling with quiet joy at her emerging recognition. You used to keep lavender around the house. It always made you feel calm. She smiled again, a fragile yet earnest expression of relief. It still does. Sitting on the bench, we watched Leah explore, her vibrant joy contrasting gently with the cautious emotions between Emma and me. Emma's voice broke the peaceful silence softly, hesitantly. I want to apologize, James, she murmured, her eyes filling slightly with tears. I'm sorry for not being there, for all those years you had to endure alone. Even if it wasn't my choice, I still feel deeply responsible. Emma, I interrupted softly, voice thick with emotion, you never need to apologize. The pain of losing you was unbearable, but it wasn't your fault. You suffered too, maybe even more profoundly. We were both victims of tragedy. Now, we have a chance to heal together. She sighed deeply, gently wiping tears from her eyes. Her hand brushed mine lightly, warmth flooding my chest at her hesitant yet meaningful touch. Leah suddenly returned, holding wildflowers she'd carefully gathered. Smiling radiantly, she presented them to Emma, eyes sparkling with innocent hope. "These are for you, Mommy. Do you like them?" Emma took the flowers gently, her eyes shimmering softly. She nodded sincerely, voice tender and affectionate. "I love them, sweetheart. They're beautiful, just like you." Later that evening, after putting Leah to bed, Emma and I sat quietly on my porch, the soft murmur of distant waves creating a calming background. Her presence felt increasingly natural, yet my heart still ached slightly with caution. "James," Emma finally spoke softly, breaking the gentle silence, "I've been thinking about what happens next. I still feel afraid sometimes. Afraid of disappointing you, of not being the woman you remember." I turned toward her earnestly, my voice firm yet deeply gentle. "Emma, you could never disappoint me. I don't expect perfection or instant clarity. I just want you to be here, whatever form that takes. Leah and I need you exactly as you are, not as a perfect memory, but as the real, beautiful person you've always been." Her gaze met mine directly, vulnerability clear yet mixed with strengthening trust. "I believe you," she whispered softly. "For the first time, I feel like I can truly trust in something again." The following weeks brought gradual, yet remarkable progress. Emma began remembering smaller, intimate details, the taste of her favorite tea, the lyrics to songs we once loved, quiet Sunday mornings spent together in our old apartment. Each memory resurfaced gently, filling us both with cautious joy and renewed hope. Leah thrived beautifully, her laughter growing brighter, her smiles deeper as her bond with Emma strengthened daily. Watching their relationship flourish was profoundly healing, gradually dissolving the lingering fears and doubts that had haunted me. Yet, a lingering uncertainty remained about the identity of the woman found after the fire. Determined to finally resolve this mystery, I contacted Detective Martin, who had originally handled Emma's case. He agreed to meet us, intrigued yet cautious about the unexpected developments. At the precinct, Detective Martin visibly startled upon seeing Emma, his composure momentarily shaken. "My God," he muttered quietly, his eyes wide with disbelief. "I never thought I'd see this day." He revealed that another woman, Sarah Brooks, had been reported missing around the same time as the fire. With severe damage obscuring identities, authorities mistakenly assumed Emma had perished. Sarah, having no close relatives, went unidentified, mistakenly buried under Emma's name. Emma paled slightly, grief mingling sharply with newfound understanding. Sarah visited me that evening. I left briefly, and when I returned, everything was already burning. Someone pulled me away, but afterward, nothing made sense anymore. Detective Martin nodded solemnly, regret deeply evident in his expression. It was a devastating mistake, deeply tragic but sadly understandable given the chaos. I'm truly sorry. Leaving the precinct, clarity replaced lingering confusion, yet sorrow for Sarah's tragic end remained heavily in our hearts. Emma leaned close, voice quiet yet firm. Sarah deserves recognition. Her loss gave me back my identity. I owe it to her memory. That evening, sitting quietly together at home, a gentle peace enveloped us. Though painful truths had surfaced, our bond strengthened further. Leah curled comfortably beside Emma, sleepily murmuring, "Mommy, I'm glad you're home forever now." Emma gently kissed her daughter's forehead, voice whispering softly yet deeply resolute. "Me too, sweetheart. I'm home now. I promise." As I watched them, profound gratitude swelled powerfully within me, tears gently stinging my eyes. The journey had been agonizingly long, filled with unimaginable pain and loss. Yet now, finally, hope and love flourished abundantly within our reclaimed family. Despite uncertainties that lingered subtly in the background, one truth shone clearly: together, we had found our way home again, and nothing would ever separate us. Spring gradually gave way to a gentle San Francisco summer, warmth slowly saturating our lives. Days passed calmly, each marked by small triumphs and careful healing. Emma's presence felt more natural, her memories returning slowly, like fragile blossoms opening in the sunlight. One peaceful afternoon, Emma joined Leah and me for a stroll along the sandy shores of Ocean Beach. The gentle ocean breeze ruffled our hair as waves lapped rhythmically against the shore. Leah ran joyfully ahead, laughter echoing clearly against the endless blue horizon. Emma walked beside me, her hand occasionally brushing mine gently. A comfortable silence settled between us, filled with unspoken gratitude and lingering uncertainty. Eventually, Emma spoke softly, her voice tinged with quiet reflection. "James, sometimes it still feels surreal. My past, our past, it's coming back slowly, but sometimes it feels like I'm reaching for something invisible." I nodded quietly, understanding deeply. "I can't imagine how difficult this has been for you. But seeing you remember little things, the way you laugh, how you look at Leah, it feels miraculous." She smiled softly, her gaze tenderly following Leah's carefree play. "She's incredible, James. I'm so grateful she had you. Even if I wasn't there physically, you kept me alive in her heart." "I can feel that deeply." Emotion swelled powerfully within me, tightening my throat. "We both needed you, Emma. Even when you weren't with us, you were always present in everything we did. Your spirit was our strength." Emma paused briefly, staring thoughtfully toward the ocean's expansive horizon. "I still have nightmares occasionally. Moments when everything feels overwhelming, like I might lose myself again. But seeing Leah, feeling your presence, reminds me that I'm no longer alone." Gently, I reached out, taking her hand firmly yet tenderly. "You're not alone, Emma. You'll never be alone again." Her fingers tightened briefly around mine, gratitude and warmth evident in her quiet smile. Later, back at our home, Leah sat curled beside Emma, happily reading aloud from a beloved storybook. Emma listened quietly, her expression soft and peaceful. Eventually, Leah looked up earnestly, eyes bright yet cautious. "Mommy, do you think you'll stay with us forever now?" she asked hesitantly, voice filled with innocent hope. Emma gently stroked Leah's hair, her expression deeply tender. "Yes, sweetheart. Forever. No matter what, Mommy isn't going anywhere again." Leah's contented sigh spoke volumes, her small body relaxing gently against Emma's warmth. Watching them, my heart filled completely with profound gratitude. Despite painful uncertainties still occasionally surfacing, I felt immense reassurance knowing Emma truly meant her promise. Days became weeks, deepening our shared bond and further restoring Emma's memories. She began recalling more vivid moments, holidays spent laughing, quiet evenings sharing dreams, Leah's first hesitant steps. Each recovered memory strengthened our connection, offering renewed hope and healing. Yet, as Emma's identity became formally restored legally, a bittersweet sadness lingered for Sarah Brooks, the woman mistakenly buried under Emma's name. Determined to honor Sarah's memory properly, we arranged a small memorial service, inviting community members who'd known her. Standing solemnly at Sarah's graveside, Emma gently placed flowers, her voice trembling slightly with deep emotion. "I never truly knew you, Sarah, but your tragedy became entwined with my story. You deserved better than anonymity. I promise to keep your memory alive, forever grateful for the life you unintentionally returned to me." After the memorial, Emma stood quietly with Leah, her expression reflective yet peaceful. Her quiet resolve touched me profoundly, deepening my respect and love for her even further. Later, returning home, a gentle, peaceful silence enveloped us. Leah fell asleep quickly, tired from the emotional day. Emma and I sat quietly on our porch, twilight casting gentle shadows across our small yard. "James," Emma murmured softly, breaking our thoughtful silence, "sometimes I wonder if the loss of those years will always haunt me. If I'll forever mourn the moments missed." I turned gently toward her, meeting her gaze earnestly. "We lost time, Emma. That's undeniable. But we also regained something precious, each other. That's what truly matters. The moments ahead are ours to fill with memories, love, and healing." Her eyes glistened softly with tears, relief mingled deeply with acceptance. "I want that, James. I want us to build our future without carrying constant sorrow for the past. I'm ready to truly live again." Gently, tenderly, I took her hand, intertwining our fingers firmly. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Together, we'll create something beautiful from everything we've endured." She leaned gently against me, sighing quietly with profound contentment. Together, we watched stars begin appearing gently across the darkening sky, their soft twinkle symbolizing quiet promises of hope, healing, and endless possibilities awaiting us. Summer quietly faded into a gentle autumn, bringing cooler breezes and richly colored leaves drifting lazily through San Francisco streets. Our lives settled into a comforting rhythm, each day filled with careful healing, quiet joy, and renewed hope. With Emma's identity formally restored and Sarah Brooks properly memorialized, a sense of profound closure settled gently within our hearts. Though grief and loss had shaped our past, our present blossomed vibrantly, nurtured by compassion, understanding, and enduring love. We eventually relocated to a small, cozy home near the coastline, seeking a fresh start away from the city's lingering shadows. Surrounded by nature's quiet beauty, we found peaceful solitude, our days filled with gentle walks along the beach, evenings spent reading together, and weekends exploring new adventures as a family. Emma rediscovered passions long forgotten, immersing herself in painting and gardening. Our home filled quickly with vibrant artwork and fragrant flowers, a testament to her newfound peace and creativity. Leah flourished beautifully, her laughter brighter and confidence growing daily, deeply secure within our reunited family. One evening, as sunset painted our backyard in warm hues of amber and rose, we gathered outside, a gentle breeze carrying the soft fragrance of lavender. Emma's quiet voice gently broke our comfortable silence. "James, Leah," she began softly, her gaze tender and sincere, "I want you both to know how profoundly grateful I am. The patience, kindness, and unconditional love you've shown me allowed me to reclaim myself fully. You've given me a second chance at life." Leah's eyes sparkled warmly, her voice gentle and earnest. "Mommy, you gave us another chance too. We never stopped loving you. We always knew you'd come back to us someday." Emma smiled beautifully, her expression radiant with gratitude and affection. "I'll spend every day proving to you both how deeply I cherish our second chance. Together, we'll make up for every moment we lost." My heart filled overwhelmingly with love and gratitude. Gently taking Emma's hand, I spoke earnestly, voice thick with emotion. "Emma, you've already proven yourself endlessly. Having you here, alive, present, and happy, is all Leah and I ever wanted. You're everything to us." Tears shimmered softly in Emma's eyes, her grip tightening warmly around my fingers. I used to believe losing my memories meant losing myself entirely. But now I see clearly, my heart remembered everything. Love, more than anything else, brought me home. As twilight gently enveloped us, Leah curled closely beside Emma, her contented sigh whispering softly through the peaceful silence. Emma gently stroked Leah's hair, speaking tenderly. I used to dream of moments like this without understanding them fully. Now, each second feels like a precious gift. The past will always shape us, but it no longer defines us. Together, we're creating something new, beautiful, and profoundly ours. Weeks became months, further deepening our shared joy and peaceful healing. Occasionally, subtle reminders of past pain surfaced, yet their power diminished steadily, replaced by quiet acceptance and genuine strength. One cool autumn morning, we stood hand in hand along the quiet shoreline, waves gently lapping near our feet. Emma spoke softly, her voice thoughtful yet deeply content. James, sometimes I wonder how different life might have been without those lost years. But then moments like these remind me we haven't truly lost anything, only gained a deeper appreciation for each second we share. I squeezed her hand tenderly, deeply moved by her gentle wisdom. Exactly, Emma. Each moment now feels richer, more precious because of what we've overcome. Our love endured through unimaginable loss, proving its strength. That's something truly extraordinary. Leah skipped happily ahead, her joyful laughter mingling beautifully with the ocean's soft rhythm. Watching her, Emma's eyes filled warmly with pride and affection. Seeing Leah thrive fills my heart completely, she murmured softly, voice filled with gentle awe. She's strong, kind, resilient. She embodies everything beautiful from our journey. Quietly, I responded, sincerity deeply resonating through my words. She carries your courage and compassion, Emma. You've given her the greatest gift imaginable, your love. Emma turned toward me gently, eyes shimmering softly with tears yet radiating pure happiness. And you, James, have given me everything, strength, hope, endless love. You've been my anchor, guiding me home through darkness. Our eyes met deeply, hearts fully aligned. In that profound, silent exchange, gratitude, love, and unwavering commitment flowed powerfully between us, sealing forever the unbreakable bond we'd forged through tragedy and triumph alike. Slowly, gently, I pulled Emma close, embracing her warmly. Her head rested comfortably against my chest, heartbeats syncing tenderly with mine. Leah, sensing the moment, returned quietly, wrapping her small arms lovingly around us both. Together, enveloped warmly within each other's embrace, we stood quietly, gazing toward the horizon, our hearts beating in perfect harmony. Though our journey had been agonizingly challenging, it had ultimately led us here, to a place of profound peace, unwavering strength, and unconditional love. As sunlight gently warmed our faces, a quiet promise formed silently yet deeply within each of us: no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Forever united, endlessly grateful, and profoundly cherished, our family stood resilient, strong, and complete, prepared joyfully to embrace the beautiful life awaiting us.